Hello, and welcome to Yavimaya Acres, located conveniently next to the Urborg Cemetery, your #1 assisted living community for all your aging commander decks. Yes, at one point they were strong, proud, and even feared, but time and Wizards has been a cruel mistress. But worry not, here they'll be right at home with the minioplasms, Sen triplets, and Rafiks of the format. They won't have to fear anymore about a One Ring coming out or a Fierce Guardianship any longer. So if you have any of your sleeved up commander decks that you just can't bear to take apart, please call us at the Yavimaya Acres, and we'll be happy to help.
Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board.
Starting us off is Hidden on Kaalia the Vast. Next up we have Ginger on Tymna Kraum, otherwise known as Blue Farm. In the third spot we have Brazy on Rog Tevesh, but a stax variant. And bringing up the rear is Vincent on Winota. But without further ado, let's get onto the gameplay. Hidden mulls to 6. There is a pregame action though, as Ginger puts a Gemstone Cavern into play, exiling an Enlightened Tutor to do so. Hidden starts off the game with a Polluted Delta, cracking it for Badlands. He casts a Rite of Flame for a Talisman of Hierarchy. Ginger has a Jeweled Lotus and an Arid Mesa as land for turn. He cracks the fetch for a Badlands and taps out for a turn 1 Kraum, choosing to send the Hasty Boy Brazy for 4. Brazy has a command tower and casts his commander Rograk. Next up is a Dark Ritual from Brazy, although Ginger doesn't like that as he Fierce Guardianships it.
For real, my guy?
Spicy! Vincent plays a Plateau and also casts a Rograk, following that up with a Deafening Silence. This time Ginger remembers the Kraum trigger, but the silence resolves. Hidden plays and cracks a Scalding Tarn for a Plateau, spending his 1 non-creature spell on a Mana Crypt, and following that up with his commander Kaalia. This gives another card to Ginger, but Hidden is done after that. Ginger on his turn casts a Chrome Mox. He imprints a Force of Negation, and for 3 casts a Professional Facebreaker. He then heads to combat, sending Kraum at Vincent, making a treasure when the commander connects. Brazy plays an Urza's Saga's land, tapping it to cast a Mana Vault, passing after that. Vincent has a mountain, and for 2 casts a Phyrexian Revoker. Word about Kaalia cheating in something nasty, he names Villas. Hidden is safe from his crypt and plays a City of Brass. He starts off his turn with a Wheel of Fortune, hoping to find something to actually cheat in. Although unfortunately for Hidden, the new hand isn't any better, and he passes the turn. Ginger shocks in a Watery Grave, and for 3 casts his other commander Tymna. Combat is then held, with the Facebreaker heading at Hidden, while Kraum heads at Brazy. There are no blocks, with Ginger making 2 more treasures and drawing 2 cards from Tymna. A Lotus Petal then comes out, with Ginger discarding a Mnemonic Betrayal due to hand size. Brazy draws, upticks his Saga, and plays and cracks a Polluted Delta. He grabs out a Badlands and follows it up with a super spicy Blasphemous Act as his 1 non-creature spell. And surprisingly, Ginger has no response and the board is wiped. Vincent shocks in a Sacred Foundry and taps out for a Ranger Captain. Ginger does have a response as he intuitions. He finds a Savine's Reclamation, a Lion's Eye Diamond, and an Underworld Breach, to which Hidden gives him the LED. The Ranger then resolves, with Vincent grabbing a Gorilla Shaman to hand. Hidden takes 3 from his crypt and plays a Luxury Suite as land, although it is hidden by his hand. He then casts a Fellwar Stone and still has the mana to recast his commander Kaalia. Ginger starts off his turn with a Chain of Vapor on the Deafening Silence. The enchantment is bounced, with him following that up with a Talisman of Dominance into an Esper Sentinel. Although it looks like Ginger's gambit to pop the Ranger Captain backfired, as he hands the turn over after that. Brazy untaps, draws, and gets his 3rd lore counter. He taps the land for mana and then sacks it to search out a Jeweled Lotus. A Blightstep pathway then comes out, followed by a Mana Crypt. But this prompts Vincent to sack the Ranger Captain, fearing an Adnos or just his commander. This does also trigger the Esper Sentinel, and with the captain being popped, Brazy pays for it. Although we lose Brazy's screen for a second as he ends his turn recasting Rograk. Vincent plays a Plains and taps it for a Sarah's Ascendant, following it up with the Bounce Deafening Silence. This triggers the Sentinel and Vincent gives Ginger the card. Ginger then responds with the Spell Pierce to at least tap Vincent out. But with him paying for the Pierce, the silence resolves. Hidden takes 3 from his crypt, and while he doesn't have much instant speed interaction, he does have a Drannith Magistrate, just in case the Deafening Silence isn't enough. Following that up, Hidden casts a Grim Tutor. He does pay for the Sentinel and goes searching. He finds a card to hand and heads to combat. He sends Kaalia at Ginger, with the attract trigger putting Vilis into play, smacking Ginger for a total of 10. Ginger has a Polluted Delta, cracking it to grab a Scrubland. He then casts a Mana Vault and tries and casts Tymna. But with the Drannith out, he can't and passes after that. Brazy is safe from his crypt and casts an Imperial Seal. He pays for the Sentinel and finds a card to put on top. Vincent plays a Rugged Prairie as land and debates if even attacking Hidden is worth it, given the extra cards Hidden would draw. Vincent then casts his Tutored Gorilla Shaman, activating the creature to destroy Hidden's Mana Crypt and passing after that. With Hidden at his end step, tapping a City of Brass for a black mana and a damage, drawing 1 from Vilis. He then activates Vilis to give -1/-1 to the Esper Sentinel. With him paying the life to do so, he draws 2 more cards. He then activates Vilis again, targeting the Rograk. But Brazy does have a response, as he deflecting swats it, to change the target to Drannith, but Hidden still gets the draw. Hidden untaps and debates what to do. He taps his Talisman for a white and a damage and another draw. Hidden then uses the white on a silence, to which Ginger fires back with a silence of his own. The 2 silences then resolve, and Hidden then plays an Emergence Zone as land for turn. He then heads to combat and sends Kaalia and Vilis at Brazy, with Hidden putting a Hoarding Broodlord into play off the attack trigger. Hidden finds a card to exile face down, and Brazy takes 17. Hidden then heads to discards, discarding a few lands due to hand size. Ginger has a quick turn, just playing a Tundra and passing. Brazy untaps, takes 3 from his crypt, and draws his tutor card. Hidden was sure Brazy had tutored a Toxic Deluge, and was right, as he casts it, putting 8 life into the spell. Hidden does have some responses though, as he taps a city for a black, a damage, and a card drawn. Hidden then activates Vilis to kill Rograk and draw 2 more cards. He continues by killing the Gorilla Shaman, to which Vincent blows up Ginger's Mana Vault. Next up is to shrink the Sarah's Ascendant. Finally, with the last of his black mana, shrinks the Ascendant one more time before the Toxic finally wipes the board. Vincent has a Prismatic Vista, which he cracks to grab out another Plains. He then casts a Vermin Windmare, to which Hidden responds with a March of Otherworldly Light on the Deafening Silence. Do note that this was the card Hidden exiled with the Broodlord. Vincent then ends his turn with a Drannith Magistrate. Hidden heads to his turn, and with the Vryn Windmere out, he goes into the tank to think about his plan. He decides it's now or never and gambles. He finds a card to hand and has to randomly discard an Arcane Signet, with Hidden then casting a Mana Vault into an Animate Dead, targeting the Thassa's Oracle in Ginger's graveyard. The enchantment resolves, and with a Thassa ETB on the stack, Hidden casts a Tainted Pact with the last of his mana. And no one actually has anything, giving Hidden the game. Game review. Man, that was a blast from the past. I had seen a Kaalia deck perform the other day and really wanted to give it a go. It really was a blast, and I'm sure if I was more familiar with the deck, I probably could have gone off sooner with that Broodlord. And speaking of going off sooner, I think Ginger might have had this game if he had went about it a little differently. I think the intuition in the face of the Ranger Captain was a mistake, as all it did was put up danger signs for other players, where instead he could have just waited a turn, as without those warnings, he probably could have gotten Vincent to pop the captain for Brazy or Hidden. As for Brazy, he got unlucky with getting his commander Tevesh shut out all game. Whether it be the Deafening Silence, Ranger Captain, or Draneth, he wasn't able to keep up card advantage, and for a stax deck, once you fall behind, it's pretty hard to keep up. And as for Vincent, I don't think anything he did was wrong. He just went last and didn't have the explosive Winota hand that could end the game fast enough before his opponents could work out through his stax pieces. But as always, I want to thank all the players that participated, and before everyone leaves, I want to thank a special Patreon member, Josh Schutt, for his support of the channel, along with all of our other Patreon supporters as well. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.